Okay, I'm admitting everyone. Okay, welcome everyone. Just before we start, we have Hebrew and Russian translation, so please choose the language. And also I want to apologize that last time the videos were still visible of those who were asking questions. So I made the video unlisted, so it's not publicly available. But this time I think it all works well and only Lopandor it will be visible. So that's for me.
Okay, so good evening, guys. So as Lela said, I want to apologize that we really tried that people will not be visible, but eventually we had to just store the video in a link place. So if you didn't see that and you want, you have the recording available by link, so you can either email Lela or myself, so we can send you the link if you want to rewatch that. But please don't distribute that for those people that were asking not to be seen. We were trying to do that, not so successfully. But anyhow, that's the way it is. So we are in a very sad day today. Many people have died around the world, many from war. So I want to dedicate this class to everybody around the world. There is no enemies countries, because enemy describes something that you think that somebody is wrong, and in Tantra there is nothing like that, and we're trying to hold the perspective of Tantra. So we just describe every country as they have their own trouble, they have their own problems, they have their own situation. So we really hold everybody dear to our heart, and we wish everybody that their suffering will be destroyed. So we'll start with the prayer. And I think I told you last time that somebody asked me about Guru Yoga, and I think I told you about the 3 types of Guru Yoga. I don't want to get into it too much now, but currently when we do the lineage prayer, which contains the refuge and the bodhicitta and the Guru Yoga, and everything is in the lineage prayer. So we try to connect our heart to this beautiful, amazing lineages actually, that come through and bring us these beautiful teachings. But sometimes we can't connect ourselves to, I don't know, people we don't know. So we try to do it with the teacher that teaches us. So you can do it either with the teacher who teach you, like Lamalina, or maybe other teacher that you have, or maybe for somebody else who just opens your heart. A teacher not necessarily needs to be some kind of high, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama always say, the good teacher is not necessarily defined by the height of their throne, okay? It can be somebody in your family, it can be somebody around you. So just connect your heart with that, and we'll go with the lineage prayer. Chöku'i Zango Gamboi, Dorje Sambagerab Dorje Dang, Shere Singi Badu Shinglabde, Dedang Macho Chata Chusumchi, Zokchen Chupelamala Sorwa. Ogen Pema Junila Sorwa. Zapa. Na pupadang padendrupa so kagyula manamla soba ade gelugna manamla soba ade. Joikam kagyuna manamla sowa ade. Nimana manamla sowa ade. Lamalina namanamla sowa ade. Palkuju jongdari mepa, ngongerab doje shing trakpa, jite dang nisume pai, palamanon chetente, chong. Okay. So last time we still dived into the origins of Tantra, and we wanted to make, I think, clearer the situation. What are the classes, the different classes of Tantra, how you define them, why do you define them? And I hope it's helped some of you at least to know, to understand what do you practice and where does it go within the formal education? I will say formal education because the non-formal education, we don't, in the non-formal education, we don't need those classes. I mean, when I practice Chen Rizik, I don't care, and it works for me. I don't care if it's the Kriya Tantra or the Anuttara Yoga Tantra. I don't ask myself in the morning, oh, what is this practice that I do this morning? But in some cases, for some teachers, it's very important to know what kind of practice do you do. And I think that's also for you, because if, for example, you want to take the tantric vows, the tantric vows only can be taken and can be kept only in the two highest yoga tantra. Again, highest, but it's not necessarily being for me or for you. Okay, so Yoga Tantra or Anuttara Yoga Tantra, for example, they are those classes that we want to keep in for example, those who practice and use the vows in order to, let's say, purify on one hand, and on the other hand, plant some good seeds, okay? Or sometimes it's called earn merits, although merit, it's not the right word for that. So we went over that. We said that there is Kriya Tantra, Charya Tantra, Yoga Tantra, and Anuttara Yoga Tantra. We try to understand what does it mean, what kind of deities belongs to where. And also we were looking at those definitions or the, I would say, characteristic that defines the different classes, like the level of bliss or the level of understanding of emptiness and stuff like that. And I think that everything was clear, because when I asked you if you have any questions, nobody had any questions. So I hope it's clear. So I want to continue with another, I would say, it's part of the motivation, because we already covered the motivation, but I think that we want to see, why do we practice Tantra? Because this is a very important question that we want to ask ourselves. So again, in the formal teachings, okay, there is the why, which is actually the fruits, okay? So we want to unroot all subtle causes of suffering and ignorance, and we want to become fully enlightened, which is the fruits, okay? A Buddha free from all suffering. This is the fruits or the result. Sometimes the tantric path is being defined as the resultant path, because it creates some kind of a path that will result in the fruition, will be the result of the being enlightened. So who is going to be enlightened? Who is going to be free from suffering? That answered the next question, which is who? We said why, because we want to get enlightened. But who is going to do that? It defines us, but us not as myself, as Dorit or Lupin Dorit, but as a vessel. Okay, and the vessel, it's the middle way approach, as you know, to life and the spiritual development. And we see something that's developed in some kind of stages, okay? It has many forms. So, but it's not the personality. If you're a student of La Molina, you know how she describes a personality, which is something which is totally different from the teachings, the Dharma and the teacher, okay? Not the personality. So it's the who. It's the vessel who is walking on the path, okay? And then I think interesting enough is the how. How do we practice? I'm not sure. I know that the beginning of my first few years, I didn't understand the whole path. And in some cases, it's still confusing. And I want to go over with you on the different, I would say, stages of the path, the tantric path. So we want to see where are we? And when I say where are we, it doesn't mean that I'm here. I had to do all the different stages before that, because, for example, I guess some of you know as teachers that are requiring, for example, the Nyandro. Nyandro is the practices that are supposed to prepare us for Tantra. So I'm not sure that all of you have done some kind of a Nyandro. It can be either the ordinary Nyandro, which is understanding, doing some 100,000 of the mandala, 100,000 of Vajrasattva, 100,000 of refuge, 100,000 of prostrations. This is the ordinary Nyandro. The extraordinary Nyandro, it can be to do 100,000 of Guru Yoga. Some requires 100,000 of Vajrasattva. And, there is a big difference. There is a different approach for that from different teachers, because some teacher requires that in order for you to receive the empowerment, which is a different stage on the tantric path. But some don't. So how do you know if you need that or not? I guess you don't know until you ask your teacher. I know that when I was about to complete my 40 months of solitary silent retreat, and then I met La Milena online, and I wanted to join her on my first Zoom with her. So I was thinking to myself, well, she's a new teacher. You remember, I was raised in the Gaelic tradition. You have to do everything by the book, very formally. So I joined her Nyandro group. That's where I started with her. And I didn't even talk. I didn't even introduce myself to her. And she looked at me like that, you know how she does. And she said, well, I'll tell you exactly how she said. She said, Dorit, what the fuck are you doing in my Nyandro group? And I was shocked because I didn't know if she knows me or not. And what does it mean? And then she said, get out. And I was so shocked that I stayed. I didn't know what to do. And then she said, you know what? Go on later on, join my Tantra group. You can stay until the end of the meeting. And then I realized that she sees something that it's not there. Because really, I just almost completed my 3 years and 3 months in solitary retreat. And I was still thinking that I should have joined a new teacher in the Nyandro group. So you see, it has nothing to do with what you did or you didn't do on the path. It's up to the teacher. He can see where you are. So many students are coming to La Molina, to her class, and ask her, should I do that? Should I do that? And even students, and all of a sudden, they're long path on the tantric path, and all of a sudden she said, they're asking her a question, and she says, you know what? I think you should go to the Nindra because I think you are stuck somewhere, and I have to help you to release what is stuck in your karmic channels, and you need this and this practice on the Nindra. Go and do that for a couple of months and come back. So you see, like that a teacher like Lama Lina is not using the tantric path in a linear progress. She's using it as defined as what students needs now. And not all teachers do that. Many teachers, and I had the privilege of having many teachers. Some of my heart teachers and my loving teachers are requiring Nindra and requiring to go on the path in the formal way. So there is no right or wrong with that. You have to find who is the right teacher for you. But always ask them. Tell them I did that and that. Although I never said anything to Lama Lina, she just saw that, you know her. She sees everybody channels, so she sees whatever she needs to see. So, but ask them, tell them I did that, I did that. Although she says that she was, doing her Nyundru, she spent 1 year of the ordinary Nyundru. She did 100,000 of that and that and that and that. And then she came very happily to her teacher, to Lama Wang the Rinpoche. And she told him, I just completed my 100,000 of all the 5 ordinary Nyundrus. And he looked at her and she said, he looked at me with a sad face and she said, I'm sorry, it didn't work. Go and do it again. So when she says that, he saw her and he saw what she needed. And then she understood, that's the story that she tells us, that she understood that she needs to do the Nindra in a totally different way. So how do you know? Where are you? Can we know where we are? Is it for us to decide, or we want to rely on the teacher? I mean, I guess that if you're here, you're a student of Lama Lina, and for us, this is an amazing privilege that she sees everybody where he is or she is, and she can give us exactly the right advice where we are. So I encourage you, when she does the Zoom, please go and take advantage. You remember I told you that I'm using the teacher. Take advantage, use the teacher to help you scoring out where are you on the path. Maybe you need to go back and do some Nyundru because there is something stuck in your channels and she wants to help you clarify something. It doesn't mean that, we are not in a competition. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with me if I have to go back or I have to go forward. Because if some teacher, for example, will tell you, okay, I want you to do, I don't know, what is the something which is very, I don't know. I want you to go and do 2 months of dark retreat. If somebody will tell me that, I will think they're totally crazy because I'm incapable of doing 2 months, not to mention even 1 month or 2 weeks of dark retreat. I don't know if you're familiar with this tool in the tantric path. But if a teacher that you trust you asking you to do something like crazy like that, for example, there are 2 ways to look at this. You can ask them questions. You can ask them, why do you want me to do that? It's okay. And also, you can share with them, what do you feel about that? I feel that I'm not ready. I feel that maybe this is something that needs more work. Two times in my life, I was asked to do something that I felt that I'm not ready for. The first time, I consulted with my teacher back then, And for some reason, they threw me over to the water. Okay, they just threw me to the water. They said, okay, I understand. Those are fears. You have to do that. It took me a while, but I did that. And looking back, I know exactly why they did that. And I'm very happy that I did. But I can also tell you that after a while, I had another teacher who asked me to do something, and I couldn't do that. And I shared my fears with them as I felt it. They were not attentive to my feelings. So I decided that if I want to keep some kind of sanity, I will not be able to do that. I have a very good friend. She used to be my good friend. And one of our joint teacher asked her to do something. Actually, it was kind of crazy request. For example, they asked her to get divorced and to become a nun, which is very strange. Usually you're not asking your students to become a nun or a monk because they are the one that needs to decide if they want to be a monk or nun. And it didn't end well. Okay, so trust your instincts, but also trust your teacher, especially when it has to do with the path. Although you might want to know if the situation is like that, it's a genuine teacher, and you spent some time with him or her, and you know that you trust them. It's very important to develop trust in the teacher, not because it's in the scripture, just because the next step that you're going to do will be something that might require a lot of gonzo or a lot of, I don't know, some kind of a strength that you might think that you don't have. I shared with you last week that one day Lamalina told me, oh, no more Tantra for you, only Dzogchen. And I felt like somebody is taking my toy, the thing that I was so much attached to. And I think that if she would have done that a little early, I'm not sure I will be here with you guys today. Because what do you mean by taking my path for me? But now I know, there was a junction, and she felt that if I will be staying in the same at the T at the same point, which I did at that particular time, I will not explore other paths. And then something, she said that it will be holding me. I know that now, but for a couple of years, maybe more, 3 years, I didn't know that. Not until she told me, oh, now you can go back to Tantra. After I practiced a few years only Dzogchen, diligently. So you have to trust your teacher. Otherwise, how would you know? How would you know if the advice they give you is something that I wouldn't say want to do? As you can understand, I didn't want to do any of those requests from my teachers that I did, but that you need to do. Do you understand the difference between what you want to do and you need to do? Okay? If something is needed on the path, so a genuine teacher can tell you exactly what to do, although you're not necessarily want to do that. So let's go to the formal path, okay? Let's go to the formal way things are happening during the, I don't know, the formal path of Tantra, okay? It's just formal. Don't get stressed by that, okay? It's the tantric path. We always start with the infrastructure. And it depends in which lineage you're practicing. If you're in the Mahaya, if you're in the Gaelic tradition, or Nyingma, or Kagyu, or Sakya, or Bon, maybe. There are different, I will say, different names or practices that are all will be resulted at the same point. For example, in the Gaelic tradition, we're practicing Lam Rim. You start with the Lam Rim. And in the Nyingma and the Kagyu, you go with the forethought to turn the mind. Eventually, they will go to the same place, but that's called Lam Rim practices, and that's called the forethought to turn the mind. And then on the paths, somehow you develop some kind of renunciation. I don't like the word renunciation because it says that you're here and you go there. And sometimes it has some kind of religious connotation. But to renounce, it's not necessarily something which is religious. To renounce basically can be something that you turn out. You went on one path, which is, we all know, the samsaric path, and then you decide that you want to choose a different path. In order to choose a different path, you need to have internally, not necessarily externally, internally renunciation. That's why I don't like the word renunciation, because the renunciation always describes something that is external, but it's only internal. Nobody is forcing us to do anything. It's our path. It's our tantric path. And then you start to study and develop some kind of leveling of bodhicitta, like, or the love, or the open-hearted. It has many names. Again, different lineages go with different practices for that. For example, in the Gaelic tradition, it's always, and also in the Nyingma tradition, it's always the Lojongs. One of the Lojongs, for example, it's the Tonglen. I don't know if you know. Tonglen is a Lojong. Lojong is training the mind, okay? That's what it's, the translation of Lojong. Okay, how to turn the mind, how to change the mind, okay? It's a mind changing. So when you practice Tonglen or you practice other Lojongs, you open the mind to bodhicitta. But in some places, there are different tools to practice bodhicitta. Like, for example, in the, as you know, from the Kagyu tradition, it's always Chen Rezik. This specific practice, like Lamalina is teaching, that it's opening the heart. So it's opening the heart. It says bodhicitta. So it's on one, it's called two wings. So one wing is developing bodhicitta, and we must have the other wing, which is a level of understanding of emptiness, okay? If we don't understand emptiness, or shunyata, how it's called in Sanskrit, or laktong, how it's called in Tibetan, so we don't have the two wings. If we only have one wing, it's amazing. It's either can be the bodhicitta, it can either be the understanding of emptiness. But if we only have one wing, we cannot fly. That's, of course, the metaphor with regard to getting enlightened, okay? So this is the basic infrastructure. And in some cases, there is also the vows. I'm not talking about the tantric vows. In some of the lineages, you must take the freedom vows, and then you have to take the 5 vows for those who are non-monastic. And then you have the bodhisattva vows. In the bodhisattva vows, you have other vows. So, for example, many students are asking Lamalina, could you please give me the refuge vows? And for her reason, she has decided that she's not continuing to give the refuge vows. And she always refers people, go and have the refuge vows with others. So you can see that even for what we call the infrastructure, we have a lot. I mean, studying all of that, diving into that, diving into feeling and learning and studying and contemplating on bodhicitta, and then diving into and doing the Nyundru and doing a lot of studying about the emptiness. So those are the infrastructures. So when we have the infrastructures, usually what happens is that we somehow develop those wings that I told you, and it's helping us to, I don't know, fly on the path easier. And sometimes when one of the wings break or something and we fall, sometimes the fall can be very hurtful, very, very. Even you can break something. And I saw people, when I say you break something, it's not the body. I saw people that the wings were not so solid. So what happens? They dropped out. Again, it's their path. Maybe they will come on the path again in the future, maybe in a different life, maybe in this life in the future. But there is a reason why those teachers are asking again and again, please go and develop those wings. There are so many amazing teachers out there that teach the Sutric path and the Mahayana path, which develops, again, the two wings, okay? So if you feel that for some reason you're not, that you're discouraged from some reason, I don't know, something happened in your life, go back to basics, like it says in the, what is it? The Godfather, I think. Go to basic, right? Go again to the bodhicitta and the emptiness and develop those wings again. So this is the basic, the infrastructure on the path, on the tantric path. And see, I'm not talking about tantric practices, but if we don't have the infrastructure, how can we build the house, the different levels on top of those? And in tantric path, it's very easy to just jump from the 30th floor, okay? I don't want you to do that. So when we have this, we just established the infrastructure, the basic infrastructures, comes what we know as the empowerment or initiation or Wang, which is always has to do with something that a teacher gives you a permission to practice. Even when you receive the Lojong or you receive, I don't know, the refuge vows, or it's not a tantric path, but still you got a permission from a teacher to practice something. So this teacher is taking responsibility on you. For the lowest Tantra, okay, for example, for the Kriya Tantra and Charya Tantra, sometimes you don't need initiation, you don't need empowerment, but you do need a lung. I'm not sure that everybody know the different words, so I'll just explain that. There is a Wang. A Wang, this is the initiation or the empowerment. There is the lung. Lung in Tibetan is air. Air is breathing. So when I say something, an air comes out from my mouth. So when you receive a lung, you receive the air with the words or the permission. Somebody is transferring you it's either the sadhana or the teachings or a mantra or something they're allowing you to practice. So there is the Wang when it's necessary. Again, it's not always necessary. For example, for the Yoga Tantra and Anuttara Yoga Tantra, you always need a Wang. If you don't receive a Wang initiation empowerment, You're not permitted to practice. And there are consequences, which I'm not going to go through them now. If you practice something that you have not received the initiation, you're going to bear the consequences. Unfortunately, it's, it's like breaking the law here, but this is a different law. This is the karmic law, the resultant law, right? The cause and effect law. It's a totally different, unless you did it without any, you didn't know that you're breaking something. So then, of course, like in the real world, at the court, if you didn't break it, you're still going to bear the consequences, but it's a different level of punishment. Here, nobody's punishing you. It's just karmic resulting. So again, you're going to have the Wang when it's necessary, which is the empowerment. Then you have the Lung, which somebody is transmitting you the practice, whatever the practice is, either mantra or sadhana, or it can be a prayer, munlam, whatever. And then comes the tree. Tree is actually explanation. You can do the Wang without doing the Lung or the tree. You can receive initiation to something and not doing anything with that. But again, student that studied with me the Tantric Vow course, I can tell you that you don't want to take empowerment from a teacher if you don't know what are the commitments that they're asking you to do. Because if you do that, you're taking a commitment without any intention to keep those commitments. Again, from the karmic point of view, it's not so good. It's like, okay, let's get married. I don't have any intention to keep, you as a monogamist, if you are in a monogamist, but let's get married. Okay. So you can take a Wang without the Lung in the tree, but you cannot take you can also have a Lung for something that doesn't need a Wang. And you can also have a tree explanation for something without the Wang, a Lung. You can just attend the teaching, but you will not be able to practice that unless it do not requires any Lung or any Wang. Okay. So I just want to make that clear because people sometimes getting confused, and now that everything is online, okay. Oh, I see that this and this teacher giving the Kala Chakra. Oh, I'll take that. Well, did you find out what are the commitments? Or you're going to get married with a teacher or with a practice without knowing that you got married? Okay, that's not going to be such a good idea, right? So I hope this one is clear. So we have the empowerment, and then we have this is the Wang, and then we have the Lung, and then we have the tree. And then, if we are lucky, we are receiving personal instructions. Because when we have the tree, the explanation about the practice that we have received, it's not necessarily something that has to do with you. I gave you 3 examples of what happened to me with my teachers. They gave me different kind of practices. They guided me to do something that I was not ready for that, right? So the teacher who is going to give you personal guidance either knows you very well, or they have what we call clairvoyance, right? They can see where are you on the path. Again, I encourage you to use Lama Lina for that because she has an amazing clairvoyance. She sees people like as a blank sheet, everything is out there. For me, this is an advantage. I know students that they're hiding. They don't want the teacher to know who they really are. And you know what? A genuine teacher really doesn't care if you have X amount of dollars or Y amount of dollars in your bank account. If you're married or divorced, if you've been in jail or not, nobody, a genuine teacher doesn't care about that. All they care is what are you doing at the practice. So we had so many occasions when students were hiding that they are not doing their practice. They received the practice from a teacher, and the teacher asked them, so how is your practice? Or even they don't ask them, how is your practice? And they don't tell them for the last 2 months or 3 months or 1 year or 2 years, I couldn't practice. So when you go to the doctor and you don't tell them what are the symptoms, and you don't tell them what do you have, how can they help you? So from whom are we hiding when we don't tell our teachers the truth about our practice? Or even in worst case scenarios, we lie, okay? We lie, we tell them, oh yeah, I love this practice, but you hate it. You don't do that. So how they can help you? Exactly like the doctor. If you don't tell them the symptoms, they cannot help you. I think in the West, we have been raised as people that we want to please others. And of course, we want to please our parents. And of course, we want to please our teachers in kindergarten, at elementary school, at high school, university, wherever. We want to please, but this is not the tantric path. In the tantric path, you have to be open as a book, because otherwise, nobody will be able to help you. First of all, you have to be genuine and very honest to yourself. I'll tell you a story about that. When I first, I think it was, I don't remember, maybe 2 or 3 months before I graduated from my 3-year retreat. So I went to a retreat, to a solitary silence retreat, and I couldn't practice. I couldn't put myself on the cushion and do my practices. I couldn't. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and I was trying very hard, and that's the worst case when you do that. I think it was about after a week or so, I've decided, I sent Lamalina a mail, and she said, okay, come on the Zoom. And I spoke with her on the Zoom, and she looked at me and she said, I see. She didn't say anything. She didn't give me the observation, her observation. But she said, okay, I'm going to give you a practice. And she gave me a practice. She said, where are you? Are you in the nature? And my retreat cabin was in the nature. She said, go out and do that and that and that 3 times a day. And I was terrified. I said to her, what? I'm going to break my retreat, because in the Gaelic tradition, where I was, you're not allowed to go from the retreat cabin for a month or 2 or 3, ever. You're closing the boundaries. It's called tsam. You're closing the boundaries and you're staying there for 1 month, 2 months. You don't see anybody. You don't talk with anybody. Even open the internet and sending an email to Lamlina was breaking my retreat. And you know what was her reaction? She burst in laughing. She said, what do you think a retreat is? What do you mean you're going to break the retreat? This is the retreat. And I said, okay, if I ask her, I have to do what she told me to do. Otherwise, why would I ask her, right? So I decided that, when worst comes to worst, I will not count that, because in the Gaelic tradition, you count everything. I will not count that as my retreat. And I followed her instructions. It took a few days when I did that. I did what she told me to do. And I got back to the cabin And I started to practice. It's been a while since I've been with Lama Lina on the past that I saw her when she gave instructions to students. One time I saw her giving the same instructions that she gave me. And I was listening why she's giving this person this instruction. And this person described himself, it was a guy, in a depression. And she saw that I was in depression. I didn't understand that back then. So she gave me the instructions, the practice that took me out of the depression, because working hard and forcing yourself while you're in depression to do a practice that it's more of self-observance, because deep meditation, it's very inwards, okay, other than outwards. That's not going to help. On the contrary, it's so she gave me a prescription and a medicine that will help me not doing my retreat, but to take me out from the depression that she saw that I'm in. So do you trust your teacher? Back then, I was not sure yet. I told you, I had a backup plan. Okay, if worse comes to worse, I will not count it as my retreat, okay? So this is a personal guidance. So either there is someone who knows you. Back then, Lama Lina didn't know me so well, but she asked me a few questions, and when she received what she wanted to receive, she gave me the instructions. But I see people that she knows very well. And I know other teachers. I can see other teachers that know people very well. And I can see also other teachers, they don't know anything about the person. But when they see them as an open book. I saw Gorchen Rinpoche, for example, do that. And the first time that I met Drupal Rinchen Rinpoche, he doesn't speak English. You have to talk to him with a translator. So I didn't have translator in hand. So I didn't talk to him. But he's a Drupal. Do you know what is a Drupal? Drupal is a title that somebody who can hold all minds in retreats. So he doesn't have, somebody can be German, somebody can be, Greek or whatever, or British, and he reads their mind, not the language. And he also protects the retreat by doing a lot of, he sees all the creatures that are there. So I was amazed that by the end of the retreat, I did a 1 month, very a solitary silent retreat 1 month with him, with Drupal Rinchen Rinpoche and Garchen Rinpoche. We were 10 people there, 1 month in the same Gompa. One time I'll tell you the story how I got there, and after the retreat ended, one of the, I don't know if you know Ina. Ina is the translator of Garchen Rinpoche and also Drupal Rinchen Rinpoche. So she said, Drupal want to talk to you. I said, okay, and I need to translate. So be at that place at that time. And then he told me instructions, exactly what I needed. And I had those questions in mind, and I never spoke with him. Never. Trust your teachers if they are genuine teachers, because they are mind reading. Okay? Trust them. And develop those relationship with those teachers, because they can see back, not only this life, they can see back your previous life, where you were and why and how. I never met, until one time, I never met Garchen Rinpoche in person. I practiced with him online. I never met him in person. And then when I got into this retreat where I was, we were 10 people, as I told you. And it was at the beginning of COVID. It was in the US. And, We were very in a distance from him because we didn't know back then how to hold that. So, everybody said you have to be distant from him. He will come to the room, to the gompa, and he will walk, and he will be in the back and everything. Small gompa, 10 people. And then he got into the room. It was the first time I met him in person. And all of a sudden, he went off from the line where he was, the path that he was going to his throne. And he came towards me and he bumped me in the head, forehead to forehead. And he said something in Tibetan, which I didn't understand. And Ina, his translator, was in the back. And she said to me, "Yeah, he said it, he was waiting for you." I never met him in person. You don't know what they see. You don't know what they see. I don't either. Okay, don't think that I can see, but I don't either. But genuine teacher can see things that you're not even aware of. Okay. So we had the infrastructure, understanding bodhicitta and emptiness, developing those wings. We had the empowerment or the wang. We had the lung, which is the transfer of that practice, and we had the tree. And in the tree, we have divided that into two, the general explanation about the practice, and then we had the personal guidance. That's what you want. You want to develop a relationship with a teacher who can give you this guidance, okay? And then on the tantric path, if you have received the wang, and you have received the lung, and you have received the tree, and hopefully you receive the personal guidance, what will happen is that you will start to practice. And it's divided into two practices. Tantric path always divided into two practices, the generation stage and the completion stages. And in each one of them on the stages, the generation stage and the completion stage, there are totally different practices. And there is a reason why they called completion stage and generation stage. The generation stage, it's called like that because you are learning to generate yourself as the Yidam. And that's why when we talk about the tantric path that requires the wang, the empowerment, so we know that it's something which is internally and not externally, because as you remember in the Charya and the Kriya Tantra, we were practicing with external objects. In the generation stage, we are trying to practice and develop ourselves as the deity. We are generating ourselves as the deity. That's one thing. The second thing that we're generating ourselves, that we are preparing ourselves to the completion stage. Completion stages are all made in the lung, in the channels, okay? It's in the channels with the tigles and the lungs or prana that streams through the channels. But if your channels are clogged, you're not ready there. So when you do the retreats, for example, the name of the retreat in Tibetan is Lerung Soa. So what is layering? It's preparation of the channels. Okay, they are cleaning. It's like you're putting some kind of brush in and cleaning that and it purifies and preparing your Vajra body. It's not your external flesh and blood body. You're preparing your Vajra body to the completion stages practices. What happens if you go to the completions? Because everything now is online. What happens if you go to the completion stages practices? before your Vajra body is ready. Try to think what happens to a pipe which is clogged, and you pull all kind of dirt, you wash the dishes with all the oil and stuff and dirt and food and everything. I don't think you like the results. And I've seen people that happen to them. It's called the lung disease, unfortunately, because the lung cannot go smoothly in the channels. It's called the lung disease. Okay? I don't want to to frighten you, of course, because some people, their Vajra body is so ready, and genuine teacher can see that. So they just give you those practices, the completion stages practices, but they always tells you that you have to combine them with the generation stage. Because if you just do the completion stage practices, like for example, Tumo, and you don't combine that with the generation stages of the sadhana and the mantrayana, good luck. Try and see the results. They're not so good. Okay, so we have the generation stage, okay, and we have the completion stages, and then we may or may not be able to open up to what we call the pinnacle, okay? Mahamudra and Dzogchen are called the pinnacle of the tantric practices. Are there people who can practice Mahamudra and Dzogchen without Tantrayana or without doing the path that I just described to you? Yes. As I told you, Lamalina calls them, it's Chikchawa. Chikchawa in Tibetan, by the way, the word Chikchawa is at one time in Tibetan, one time. Okay, you just got something, everything is there, okay? If you are able to do the one time, go for it. And that's why Lamalina has decided to emphasize the Tantra. You don't have to study Tantra with Lamalina. You don't have to study Tantra with me. You don't have to study Tantra at all. But if you feel that Mahamudra or Dzogchen are sometimes slipping between your fingers, because this is the feelings when you're not there, it's like, I just had it. Where is it? Okay, I just had it. Where is it? Okay. So go back to Tantra. And that's why Lamalina has decided, after she saw so many students that coming, because, she is a Dzogchen expert. There are only few Dzogchen experts around the world, only few. And not only she's an expert, she loves that. Okay, she loves that. She teaches that magnificently, okay? But are we a good vessel to absorb that and to practice that? The only one who can answer this question is you. Nobody else will give you the answer for that. So we have described the path, the tantric path. It started with the infrastructure and it's ended with the pinnacle of the Mahamudra or Dzogchen. Actually, the Mahamudra and Dzogchen are practices. The pinnacle, it's the result of that, okay? But nothing will work if we're not going to practice. So practice, practice, practice. And as Lamalina likes to bring the quote of, I'm not sure if it was Naropa or Marpa. And she said when Naropa asked Marpa, what do I need to do? So he took up his gown and shows him his butt with all those syllables, said, practice, 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 okay? So I'll open that for a few minutes for question, if somebody has a question. And you need to know that, just raise your hand so I can see you on the screen. You need to know that this time we find a way that your face will not be on Zoom, okay? Okay, yes, who is here? Let me see. Okay, Angelique, yes.
It was Milarepa who showed his butt to Gampopa.
Gampopa. Okay, thank you for reminding me.
And did you say that if I didn't get it right, probably, that if Dzogchen is not working, go back to Tantra?
Yes, Lama Lina always said that her teacher, unlike other teachers, she knows, maybe other teachers, are different. They always start with the Nyundru and then go to the Lojong and then go to the Tantra and then generation stage and then completion stage. And then they do the initiation, the 4 wands of the Dzogchen. Her teacher did it completely different. He started with the Dzogchen. He said, oh, I don't want to waste other people's time. So he started with the Dzogchen. That's what she does, right? He started with the Dzogchen. And if people got it, okay, practice Dzogchen. But if they didn't get it, he said, and she said, go to Tantra. And if people cannot practice Tantra for some reason, they go back and tell them, okay, go to Mahayana, go to the 6 parameters and practice that. Lojong, 6 parameters. And if they don't get that, so go back to Sutrayana. Okay. And if they don't get that, go back to Nyundru. Okay. Nyundru and most probably it's combined together, Nyundru and Sutrayana. So yes, if you feel that for some reason, it can only be for a short time, right? Like I'm telling you the story why she told me to stop practicing Tantra. She said, eventually after a few years, she said, now you can go back to Tantra because now Tantra will be different with the Dzogchen view. But in other cases, it was different. In other cases, I saw many students, and she told them, I don't think that it's time for you now to practice Dzogchen. Go to Tantra, and maybe after a while, I can see that you're ready now to practice Dzogchen. Or sometimes she also refer people to Mahamudra because she thinks that for them, Mahamudra is much more gradual. Dzogchen is immediate. Mahamudra is gradual. Sometimes she sees that this person needs gradual path on the path in the meditation path to Laktong, okay, or
Thank you.
what we call Trekchen.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you something. Lama Lina asked me to do the Zoom online group of Tantra for her students. Usually she does that on the Zoom because she wants me to answer people's personal question like she does, okay? So while she's traveling now, for a month, I think, at the next couple of months or 3 months. So I will be doing the Tantra Zoom. So today is more of a teaching and then a little bit of question. But if you have personal questions, so sign up for the Tantra group so I can answer your personal question to the best of my ability. I'm not Lama Lina. I'm not intend to be Lama Lina.
I am in the Tantra group.
Oh, okay. So I think that Nayanda just sent an email a couple of days ago, something that it's going to be next Monday.
Okay.
It's 11 o'clock Eastern daytime, I think. I'm not sure the time. So if you're in the Tantra group, if you want me to answer your personal question, I'd love to do that in this Zoom group. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, Beth.
Yes, I just want to clarify with the
You go.
Vajras.
Oh, here we are. The
With
hand just went down.
Vajrasattva.
Yes.
So the level of Tantra. And so when you're doing like the Nindro version and you do the front visualization and then on top of the head, so that's Kriya.
Yes.
And then when you're after Abhisheka, that is Anatara. What level is?
It's interesting your question because Vajrasattva is a yidam that has a specific intention. You're never becoming, you're not generate yourself as Vajrasattva. You're using Vajrasattva to purify. So it will never be Anuttara Yoga Tantra because you don't generate yourself. It's not generate. There is no generation stage for Vajrasattva. There are different different versions of Vajrasattva, which are not the white Vajrasattva, that you can generate yourself as a deity. But it's a Buddha, but we use them for purification. So you don't generate yourself, never generate yourself as a Vajrasattva.
Well, there's a self-visualization
As Vajrasattva or the
as Vajrasattva.
Is it the white Vajrasattva or the red Vajrasattva?
White. And that was the after empowerment. That's what we do. It's a self-visualization.
That's interesting. Okay. If you had, listen, that's a good question, not because we are now trying to find what is right and what is wrong. If you had instructions from your own teacher who gave you this, do that.
Okay.
Don't ever question what the personal instruction that your teacher gave you, because your teacher designed something that is right for you or for those people who were there. So practice that and don't try to find what is right and what is wrong. Okay?
Okay.
If this is a personal instructions, you will always do that. Like I told you with my retreat, I will break my retreat, okay? If those are the instructions, this is not breaking the retreat right now. If I'll go to for my Gaelic tradition Lama before, and I will tell them that, they said, oh my God, you broke your retreat. Okay? So never doubt the personal instructions that you receive. This is exactly, I'm glad you asked that because it's given me the opportunity to answer something which is much more important with what is Vajrasattva or not. Okay, thank you. Okay, Corey, hi, good to see you today. No
Yeah,
problem
good to
with
see
the
you too.
camera.
Yeah, easy fix too, but glad that I finally found it. So you mentioned that both Anuttara Tantra Yoga and the generation stage practices both deal with the subtle energies.
No.
No.
Generation stages, they're preparing the Vajra body for the
Okay.
completion stages in Anuttara Yoga Tantra. And actually, only in Anuttara Yoga Tantra, you practice the completion stage of practices. The generation stages are preparing your body in order to be able to practice the completion stages without making any damage to your real body or your Vajra body.
Interesting. Okay. Okay.
And I want to say something about that, okay? I want to make an exception, okay?
Yeah.
Because there are sadhanas, there are yidams and sadhanas that built in the generation stages practices, there are some versions of the completion stages, okay? For example, in Chöku'i, or in Vajrakilaya, or in Vajrayogini, in the long sadhanas, they have some instructions that are strongly prepare your Vajra body because you're already starting to develop some kind of a completion stage practices. And I will say no more about that, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, who is now? Jennifer. Well, I didn't see you.
Oh, you want to see me?
Yes, please.
Hello. So I guess I have a few questions. I wasn't able to join your Zoom last week. I did the Chud empowerment, and now listening to everything that you're saying, I'm not sure that, that maybe I should have. I have been sick too, so I've been thinking about what you said about Lama Lina giving you that prescription for depression. So I haven't been, I get like I can practice and then I'm like I can't practice anymore. I just like you said, I can't sit. So I'm wondering if like something similar is happening with me with depression that I just can't see, because I will try to will myself into practicing, and you know how that goes, doesn't work so well. So I just don't know what you think about me taking Chud like that.
But Jennifer, as I said before, I would love to
Mhm.
answer your question, but I need to ask you much more questions in order to answer your question.
Okay.
So
Okay.
please join the Tantra group so I will be able to do it next week, okay?
I'm in the Tantra group.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll see you next week, and I want to ask you more questions for what
Okay.
you said, in order for me to really answer your questions, okay? And
Okay.
to make genuine understanding about what's
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anisha, right? I spelled it right. Yeah.
That's right, Doritla. I just had a couple questions for you. You mentioned that Lama Lina doesn't offer refuge and bodhisattva vows anymore. She used to in the past, and then when I joined, she actually said she would, but then after that she gave up on the idea. So I'm just curious why she like how does that work? Like my understanding is if you want to personally work with a teacher, and if you know as a student, as a disciple, that these vows are very important infrastructure.
Yeah, well, as you could already understand from my from my talk today, there are different teachers who see the vows in a different way. Okay. In the formal Orthodox traditionals, it's important to take those vows on the path. Lama Lina has decided, actually it was only about a couple of years ago, that the only vows she's going to give is the Dzogchen vow. And if you may pay attention to that, you see that she doesn't give any more wangs, any more empowerments other than the inner mind Roshan, which is the wang for the Dzogchen. All the videos that we have online with the empowerment she gave to Tonglen or to Chen Rezik or to others were only many years ago. She doesn't do it anymore. She has her own reason. You can ask her. She would love to answer your question why she doesn't give anymore the the refuge vows, the bodhisattva vows. She will answer that.
But in general, am I right in understanding that those vows are necessary in order to even engage in any kind of relationship?
According to
personal,
according to Lama Lina, it's not.
It's not.
According to other traditions, as I told you, this is the path.
Right.
And the Orthodox traditional path. I want to introduce you to that. But when people are asking her for the refuge, she always says, sign up for the refuge. I'm not going to do it in a near future, but you can never know. All of a sudden she can decide, whoop, I'm going to do it. Yeah. But she always say, go online, see who is the one who is giving the refuge, and take the refuge from them or bodhisattva vows from them. And also, as you know, for the Anuttara Yoga Tantra, we always bring the what we, both of us feels very genuine teachers like Gertrude Rinpoche or Drupal Rinchen Rinpoche. By the way, if I recommend a teacher or a teachings that is in the Vajra group or here, it's always after consulting with her and having her permission or her guidance, okay? I will never give you any instructions with regard to Tantra without asking her first. Like, for example, when Drupal Rinchen Rinpoche was doing the initiation for Vajrayogini, there are many other teachers who are doing the initiation of Vajrayogini. But we both decided that this is the right practice and teacher and Wang and Lung and Tri that is applicable to her students. Okay? Although there are many other teachers who do that. So, and she never holds things only for, you know, that she will do that. She is very open up. She is,
Yes.
you know, she's always referring you to all the other teachers, you know. She always says, is there only one teacher that can hold all the students? Okay. Yes.
And then
Yes.
can I ask another question, or would you like me to hold off?
Yes, yeah, it's okay. Okay, one question and we'll close the
Okay. So the question is, you know, you mentioned that the completion stage practices are appropriate, that you, by completion stage practices, you mean like Mahamudra Dzogchen, right?
No. Completion stages practices are not Mahamudra and Dzogchen. Completion stages practices are like Tumu, Dream Yoga, Vajrabhati, Karma Mudra. Those are the completion stages practices.
Oh, I see. And so where does Mahamudra fall into in this scheme?
On top of that, the pinnacle.
Oh, I see. So if you have
there
issues
is the
with
generation stage, there is the completion stage, and there is Mahamudra and Dzogchen. Now, again, if you are capable to, I don't know, I don't have the words for that, to be, okay, to be, not to get in, not to do whatever, to be fracture or to be lactone, you don't need anything else.
I see.
But if you can't, go back. That prepares you. It's a preparation, unless you have a very strong karmic connection from previous life that you already practice Mahamudra or you already practice Dzogchen. We still need, you know, we still need to do something about that. We still need the doing because, you know, Mahamudra, especially Dzogchen, Mahamudra at the beginning, there is still some doing, but Dzogchen is the non-doing. So it's the non-doing meditation. So always is the question, so what should I do? What do you mean, what should I do in the non-doing meditation? It's a synonym in the question, right?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your teachings today.
So we'll conclude today. So let's just dedicate that all suffering and all wars all around the world will be just stopped, and we can bring everybody to their best happiness, whatever you want to call it, enlightenment, and will diminish all suffering from all creatures. And Thank you so much. So I'll see you next week. Some of you will see in Tantra, some of you will see you in our class. And I want to say something more. When we will finish this model, we will open the course of the psychology of Tantra. Some of you were asking me about that. So we're still in the origins of Tantra, right? So we're waiting for the psychology of Tantra, my favorite subject ever. Bye, guys.
Bye.